You made a really stupid bet that went bad, didn't you?
Senator,
And the taxpayers of America had to pick up the tab for your stupidity, didn't they? Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Mr. Becker, when interest rates go up, the price of government bonds, especially long-term, long-maturity government bonds, goes down, doesn't it?
yes.
And you don't have to be Einstein's cousin to know that, do you?
No, you don't.
Okay. Now, your bank had 55% of its assets invested in government bonds, didn't it?
Roughly, yes.
And the Federal Reserve raised interest rates, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
And the value of your assets went down dramatically, didn't they?
Yes, it did.
Okay. And you didn't have hedges, did you?
Senator, as previously mentioned, the decision around hedges was made by our Asset Liability Committee.
Mr. Becker, you were the CEO of the bank. You didn't have hedges, did you?
Senator, there were hedges that were put in place, but I don't recall the details around when they were put in place.
You're the CEO and you had 55% of your assets in government bonds, and you don't know whether you were hedged or not?
Senator, as previously mentioned, I don't have access to my SVB documents, so
well, I know that, and I wasn't CEO. You weren't hedged. Now, if you'd bought those hedges, that would have cut into your profits, wouldn't it?
Senator, I don't know the details of the decisions that the team were evaluating.
But if you bought a hedge, the hedge cost money, and it would have decreased your profits, wouldn't it? Do hedges cost money?
Yes, they do.
And so if you bought hedges, you'd have less money, right?
Senator, it depends upon, yes, they would cost money, but it depends upon how the hedges
And if
were
you'd
structured.
made less money, that would have affected your bonus, wouldn't it?
Senator, our compensation was predominantly long-term in nature. And so I know there's been lots of discussions about compensation being short-term.
Mr. Becker, you made a really stupid bet that went bad, didn't you?
Senator,
and the taxpayers of America had to pick up the tab for your stupidity, didn't they?
Senator, there were a series of events, unprecedented events that occurred that led us to where we are today.
No, this wasn't unprecedented. This was bone deep, down to the marrow, stupid. You put all your eggs in one basket. You put all your eggs in one basket. And unless you were living on the International Space Station, you could see that interest rates were rising and you weren't hedged. Can you play the video for me? Mr. Shea, I want to ask you. Play it.
Let's go.
It still looks like me.
Fortunately and or unfortunately, yes. It does.
Don't take
Look,
this
the
off
only way
the
we're
time.
going to do this thing is if we start a bank from scratch.
From scratch? You gotta be kidding. How in the world do you do that? Is there a book, How to Build a Bank for Dummies?
All we have to do is apply to 19 federal and state banking agencies.
Wouldn't it be easier just to go out and buy a bank?
We looked at that, but the prices are too expensive and we'd be stuck with all their legacy issues.
So we have to make our own mistakes. But then we'd have nobody to blame but ourselves. We'd have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Well, that is the stupidest thing that I have ever heard. We're sick of the stank of the big mega banks, so we'll start one. It's absurd. What a terrible proposition, like convincing the world to eat kale. What possible fate will become of our bank other than to diminish and fail?
I happen to know for a fact that won't happen.
Seriously? Why not?
Because
We'll start signature.
Mr. Shea, you're in that video, aren't you?
Yes, I'm in that video.
And you showed that video to the public?
That video was designed as a morale boosting.
But did you show it to the
effort
public?
It was shown at the employee parties and shown for.
But did the public see it?
They may have seen that, yes.
And you were trying to invite people to take their hard-earned money and entrust it to you to spend it wisely, and you showed them this video?
That video had a positive impact on
Yeah, I can
employees
see
and
your bank went
colleagues
broke.
who enjoyed watching
Your bank went
and
broke.
participating.
How much time did you spend? You conducted pronoun seminars, didn't you? What's a pronoun seminar?
I introduced a seminar organized by 300 of my colleagues, just as I went to
Yeah, but
ping
tell
pong
me what it
tournaments.
is. You spent a lot of time doing pronoun seminars, lecturing people about how they ought to use the right pronoun, gender neutral pronouns, didn't you?
I actually spent no time beyond introducing that.
Well, I
seminar.
could show the seminars, but I won't do it.
I was.
What did that have?
Senator Kennedy, your time has expired. Senator Reed from Rhode Island.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Never
Chairman.
mind.